Welcome back.
Wait,
Welcome back.
oh,
Welcome back. Oh, not yet.
I think we're good. Ha, my bad. I was looking at the wrong timer. We're good. Start the intro. I have to cut off the first 12 seconds.
Yeah, no worries. Welcome back. Welcome back to Behind the Ballot. I know it has been some time since we have last spoke to our grateful and appreciative audience that tunes in, and we will be trying to get back to a 3 day recording session schedule. Me and Muhammad have just had some crazy calendars, as I'm sure you all have throughout this summer. And we welcome you back where politics meets real life, and showing how state and federal policy shapes everyday Americans, and engaged, balanced, and informative. That's always our promise. And we're going to get right into it. But Mohammed, want to say hello and thank you to our listeners who have been tuning in since our little bit of a hiatus, if you want to call it.
Yeah, eager to get back. I know we've said this multiple times now, but literally things keep popping up. I had some water damage to my internet equipment, so I had to replace it, and that alone took like a week. So it's been just a lot of unexpected, a lot of storm, and a lot of unexpected nature to things going on right now, and I am excited to try to get this back to our normal stable schedule. It's nice, honestly, when you have that routine in play. So, why don't you start us off, Mikhail, with what we've got going on today?
So, with what we have going on is, of course, an update on the Iran US war, as that has been ravaging the news more recently, especially focusing on the USS Abraham Lincoln and sailor reports. So, the USS Abraham Lincoln situation has become one of the most visible signs of strains from the prolonged conflict. The carrier has been at sea for roughly 9 months, with more than 250 consecutive days without a port call, which is a modern record. While military
That
families and
sounds
outlets,
miserable. That
oh,
sounds
completely miserable.
miserable.
I mean, I've been seeing pictures of the food, and there were reports of four sailors, I believe, that were actually wanting to jump off the USS Abraham Lincoln for just how bad conditions have been.
Yeah.
And it is terrible because military families and outlets, including the Navy Times, Stars and Stripes, and the Guardian, have reported multiple attempts by sailors, kind of what I was alluding to jump overboard amid exhaustion, food and water shortages, plumbing failures, and mental health crisis. Setcom has confirmed at least one sailor went overboard in early August and was recovered. Officials, of course, deny a broader surge in suicides, but acknowledge the deployment's toll. And lawmakers, including Senator Richard Blumenthal, have demanded answers from Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, as all this continues to be amplified from this war with Iran. And these reports coming out are horrendous, to see that our servicemen are going through all of this. And it's even more disheartening to the fact that you've even had our individuals within the US Army, and how that morale has actually shifted downward. Muhammad, I don't know if you saw this, but there's been a lot of morale and anti-Israel messaging
I saw that
that has been coming out.
that I thought that was interesting on the ship itself.
Yeah, no, it was on. I think it was on like the ship flap or something of that nature.
Yeah.
But 1,000% morale among the U.S. personnel appears pretty low. In addition to the Lincoln reports that we just talked about, images and accounts have circulated of anti-Israel messages written in the dust on aircraft and equipment in the Gulf. Certain phrases are "Be a good boy and do what
Good
Israel
goy.
tells you."
Just
Yeah.
emphasize, yeah, good goy, not good boy.
Oh yeah, good goy. Sorry, be a
Yeah.
good goy and do what Israel tells you. Operation Epstein Fury, which is a good one, and similar phrasing was kind of detailed on this flap, and this is really reflecting frustrations with the mission and its undefinitive nature, which it is clearly undefinitive.
Yeah, I mean, well,
And
honestly,
Iran
what
has,
still what
yeah.
is the goal? Literally, what is the goal here?
There is no goal. Even weeks ago, Trump was stating in his State Department was stating that he was open to ending the war without taking the strait, and now he is stating that it would be nice to just declare the Strait of Hormuz territory of the United States, which is ridiculous. Like, yeah, he
Would
can go
never be
ahead
able to
and do
happen.
that, but
Would
that
never be.
changes nothing. Like, he can just say declare the territory, like, okay, on
Yeah.
paper, but outside of that, it's actually not. Like, that may
Yeah, what are you gonna
sound
do to take it out of the
cool.
countries who also are claiming it that it's theirs? What are you gonna do?
It, it, exactly. And all of this, further feeds into the fact that this is a immoral war. We have our troops that are being demoralized from this war. There is no US buy-in from looking at operations, like looking at 9/11. That obviously had American buy-in, attacks on American um, soil, which led to uh, the huge drafting of individuals actually signing up for the military. With this war, completely opposite. And
I
you would
mean,
have thought that it would take more months to get here, but
there was no draft during the war on terror. But the issue with the war on terror was the story that they were saying and going with was it was Saudi Arabian terrorists, and that's what the passports were from Saudi Arabia. And then we invaded Afghanistan, and what's that have to do with Saudi Arabia? And then we don't invade Saudi
yeah,
Arabia at all. So then the issue was like as time went on, people were really upset about what happened 9/11. But then we just kept being in it for longer than we had to. And the question was, well, we're not even going against the country that is supposedly the one that caused the attack. And then also when we did find Osama bin Laden, he was hiding out in Pakistan. So it was just
yeah,
a whole mess of well, what was the point of all this? Well now we're like now the guy's dead. We're still in the country. We got revenge. So what are we still doing here? And then after that all happened is really I mean I agree that the good call was to just pull out. There was no need to nation build anymore. Like it's not our responsibility. But with how things were done, leaving all the equipment working definitely was not a good idea. But what I want to say regarding the Iranian situation, is that we're slowly but surely losing faith in our allies in the Middle East. Our allies are losing faith in us in the Middle East, as they're seeing how our military and under the commander in chief, who is now, has been conducting itself against Iran and how they've been managing against Iran's attacks and more. And I mean, I think we've seen it just recently, actually, that Turkey just joined the what they're calling it the Mecca Peace Defense Agreement, the Mecca Defense Agreement. Turkey just joined the agreement between Saudi Arabia and Pakistan that basically any attack on one country is like an attack on the other two as well. And they're
yeah.
looking to
And also
keep.
that the F-15 sale that we're planning to do to Turkey is seeming like for me at least, I look at it, that's like a slap in the face to Israel.
Yeah,
At that point, it's kind of like we can get a new partner
because Turkey's
as
probably
much as we
Israel's
want.
biggest. Saudi Arabia has been on the more open-minded side to the United States is buying, as some people would say, selling your soul. Like, hey, we got a lot of money if you're just fine with what's going on in Palestine and what else is Israel is doing. We've got a lot of money coming your way. Then, whereas Turkey has been more against that, more sticking to the ground, to the point where Benjamin Netanyahu has said that Turkey is Israel's greatest threat, and
Yeah.
Erdogan specifically. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do see some kind of pettiness on the American side, because I think honestly Trump is personally fed up with the Israelis and how they've been like basically making his presidency a lot worse just due to their involvement. And I think it's just I don't know if he actually cares about what they've been doing, but I think he cares that what they've been doing has been making him look bad.
Oh yeah, definitely. If it makes him look bad, he's gonna want to stop it
And this Iranian
as soon as
situation looks
possible.
like crap. We're in a war that we don't really know what for. We don't know what the objective is. The strait was already open before we went in here, and now we've got soldiers talking about, and reports coming out about these terrible conditions aboard the Abraham. and the USS Abraham Lincoln. And on top of that, we've got Trump really saying one thing 1 minute, another thing another minute. And I do feel bad for the sailors and the soldiers who are all in this
I
situation.
feel so bad.
Like to
I mean, it's
have
a situation they never wanted at all.
imagine like thinking about the idea of like, well, is there any way that we can rely on one idea of when peace is gonna come? And you're like, no, you can't. You can't. Like, what's gonna be actually? When's the deal actually gonna be made? And like, Iran actually came out and said they have no plans, nor not that they don't have plans. We don't see a path to a deal with Trump in office until 2029 when the guy gets the boot. And so I think honestly, if I was these Navy men, these sailors, these soldiers, I'd be thinking there's a good chance we're gonna be sifting around these waters for quite a while now, and I'm sure that's weighing on their mind. Like, oh my God,
Oh
it's
yeah, it has to be
2026. Like, if we're really
weighing
gonna
on their
rely on
minds.
that report, or just if we're gonna rely on based off what we've seen with the guy himself, this is gonna be a long ride.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very long ride. And yes, Iran has made it clear that it sees no path to a new deal with this administration before January 2029. So it could very well be a situation where this is dragging out for the next 2 years, unfortunately. And this is going to be a catastrophe across the board that we are now going to have to repaint the picture of American foreign policy once Trump leaves. I mean, whoever gets in office is really going to have to almost basically reinvent the wheel because, as to what Muhammad was speaking to, U.S. allied Gulf states such as Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, Kuwait, and Bahrain are increasingly frustrated with
That
this
was like
administration.
30, 40 years of diplomatic work and military work on behalf
Yeah,
of the
it
United
yeah,
States. Like going from
completely
back
gone.
from when we tried to help get rid of Saddam from Iraq to the point where we're in
Yeah,
Afghanistan to there's just been so much time and money and lives and blood put into
no, without a
making
doubt.
like diplomatic and militaristic mixture of a combination of solutions to the Middle East for American benefits, and it's been unraveling. All that work has been unraveling a lot these last few months.
Yeah,
And
it really is, and it kinda it's there's certain theories that,
could usher into
people are now
a new
stating.
age of the American empire, one that takes a step away from the military global approach that we've been having the last 50, 60 since World War II years, really. Because that was what we were doing for quite a while. After World War II, we were putting bases across the country in order to stop the spread of ideology we didn't like. That's why we were in the Middle East initially, was to stop the spread of communism coming down from Soviet Russia into Afghanistan, the Middle East. That's why the Afghanis fought the Russians, because the Russians, the communists, were trying to come in, spread influence, spread communism, spread the control of the Soviet Union, and the Afghanis said no. So when America came in, we initially wanted to help against that fight against communism, so we supported them. Then as time went on, that's also why we were in Vietnam. That was also why we were in South Korea. And then as time went on, just these massive operations, we just had so many bases put down in the first place. We just kept going around with this. There's a specific term for it, but I'm blanking on it. But we're the only country that has this kind of form of military expansion where we have so many of our bases in other countries in the world. No other country, if you look at a map of Chinese bases in other countries, it's like, dude, 10, 10, 8, very little, a dozen. And if you look at it for the United States, 100, 200, it's a massive amount. It's
Yeah, it's
quite
a
an
very
amount.
massive amount, and it's insane that, we've obviously been allowed to do this on this grand of a
I mean,
scale with
the
no
reason why it's been
pushback.
allowed is because people have been allowing us to do it. Like South Korea's like, oh yeah, hey, you're gonna help us against North Korea and China, yeah, put down bases. Oh, Afghanis in the Middle East are like, oh, you're gonna help us to deal with these issues, yeah, put down military bases. And that's where the diplomatic approach comes into play. But the issue is that was a mixture of relying on the belief of the word for diplomacy and the belief of the strength for the military bases to be there in their country. So then when you lose the ability to believe in the word of the person who you are supposed to trust, saying like, "Oh hey, yeah, we'll help defend you guys and we're capable of defending you guys." When you stop being able to believe that they will do that, and then you see that they can't do that even if they wanted to, it really starts asking those red flags. Well, why are we allowing this other country to have military bases in our country itself when we can rely more so on people who are directly around us for a stronger regional pact? And I think that's what we're seeing with the Middle East is them just picking up, especially with this Iranian situation has been really, and Trump has been really gaslighting, not gaslighting. That's probably where I meant like gas on a fire, lighting it so it completely combusts in a very quick manner. And I think honestly, the longer this drags on, the more and more it's going to push these Gulf countries to keep adding more people to the Mecca Defense Agreement. And I think Trump's not going to back down. I do not see him backing down.
No, he's not. He's not going to back down. We've all known him to not back down on these things. But however, he is unraveling years and decades of partnerships that have been established for many decades. And like I was alluding to and saying, there is going to be a lot of reworking and reinventing of the wheel that the next president is unfortunately, and I would say the Secretary of State is going to have to hit the ground running, rebuilding relationships with European countries, Canada, then looking, across the shore as well to a lot of our European allies, going to have to reignite those relationships. It's going to be a lot that will need to be done. And then on top of that, you're going to have the refilling of munitions, and as well as now we have oil reserves at lowest levels. Munition stockpiles are critically low after months of intensive operations. Inventories of key interceptors, such as those Patriot and THAAD missiles and long range strike weapons, have been drawn down sharply, in some cases by half or more. The administration touts these as fake reports, but defense officials and
Fake
analysts at
news.
the CSIS and elsewhere warn that remaining stocks leave the U.S. vulnerable to other threats, particularly in Asia. So it's like that area we are not able to accurately enforce with our military equipment. But it was also noted today that President Trump is actually removing all of our missiles and or defense capabilities from South Korea,
Which
given
is
his buddy buddy
crazy.
friendship with Kim Jong Un, and that is. I don't think you would ever see any president do that. The fact that they think that Kim Jong Un likes them, that they
The
are
fact
now
no, the
going to
fact is that
remove
he's taken
these
the side of
facilities.
one of the few countries that is actually communist and like has a actual communist dictator from the eyes of the American people. And his voter base isn't like going up in arms like, oh wow, this is crazy. He's supporting communism is insane to me. You've seen so much of the right just rallying on, oh, communism is evil and talking about like Mamdani al Sayed, people in Mela more. And that's like, guys, the guy isn't who's in charge of your party. The president of the United States is backing up a communist leader over South Korea democratic like government. And I mean,
Yeah,
it,
it's completely a
it's
shame.
ironic.
It's
It's ironic.
yeah, with I mean, without a doubt, it further bolds well with the standing notion that he aligns himself with various dictators, individuals of various evil acts and things of that nature. Which I mean, he's right up that alley. BB and Kim Jong Un are right around there. So it seems it is it's playing face to who he is, I would say, and how he portrays himself. He wants to be one of those dictators that gets everything, and no one says no to them in any way. We've seen him state this in various press conferences and so forth, and it's just disheartening to see that we have a commander in chief that only likes to hear good things about him and will put down any bad notions or anything of that nature. When we had Joe Biden, who, you know, everyone talked crap about him, and we wish that we had a president like that now,
I wouldn't say that.
compared
I wouldn't
to
say
what we've
that.
been going through. I mean, I definitely think I would. I think if you would go, I think if you were to poll everyone that voted in 2024 and asked them would they have wanted Joe Biden again, I bet you have more people that say they would rather another four of Joe Biden than four of Trump. I stand full heartedly behind that.
Hmm. I mean,
Full heartedly
I'd
behind
say
that.
at this point, Probably true, yeah. But your original statement was more so like Joe Biden was a far superior president to Trump. I think Trump's horrible, and I think Joe Biden is also pretty bad. I wouldn't prefer either of them. I'd prefer somebody who wasn't
I mean, just on what's been
old.
happening within the last year and stuff that's gotten done, to say, I mean, you can't I mean, you categorically can't really say Trump's year and like year and 8 months was better than Joe Biden's year and 8 months.
And I'm not trying to say that, but I'm just trying to
But
say,
like that's
but
what I like. That's what my point. What I'm saying basically is that you could take Biden's 4 years comparable, Biden's year and 8 months comparable to Trump's year and 8 months, and I bet you people are going to be saying they would rather have Biden than Trump. That's the claim.
yeah.
I would be, and anyone that states the opposite is, I'm sure, is in the MAGA camp. Individuals that are in the Democrat, that are in the independent camp, that's the group that's most important within this conversation. Democrats and Republicans, they're going to choose either side. It's the independents, and the independents are going to, would, I would imagine, and from what polling has been stating, would be better off with Biden again instead of going with Trump. I mean, look at everything that's happened from since then. Liberation Day, a failure. No tax on tips, failure. Big beautiful bill, failure. It's all been failure. When you look back at Biden, we had the infrastructure bill getting done, putting down COVID and still enduring through that, rebuilding the economy on infrastructure and the economic standpoint. I mean, there's a lot that he did within that bill that was never touted, and that, did give the case for the reasonings for the Democrats to lose in 2024. But yes, if you were to poll the mass majority of individuals, I would profoundly say with great confidence that I would say 50%, if not 51%, would rather have Joe Biden than Donald Trump, without a doubt.
I mean, I did vote Biden over Trump, so it's not.
No, yeah, I did too, but just given how the economy is and how numbers are numbering, I guess is the way to put it.
I think Trump's
Um,
completely lost the young crowd for the most part, and I
no,
mean,
he's lost the young crowd. I mean, completely. This war, no promises, no Epstein, no border wall, no deportations. I mean, everything you could think of that this man has stated and ran on, it's been the complete opposite. To where you have Alex Jones, you have Marjorie Taylor Greene, Joe Kent, um, Tucker Carlson now talking about a new Republican Party to challenge MAGA. Thank God. Actually, have some true conservatives in the White House. Well, not even White House, in the Republican sphere, should I
yeah,
say?
just having some
But
influence over the greater party.
yeah, exactly. And it's just really a lot that the Republicans have to deal with. The same thing that Democrats have to deal with, looking in the mirror and wanting to have a in-depth conversation with those within the party to truly, put out the best candidate, because I think Democrats are walking down a very scary tightrope. I shared this tweet with you the other day, and we're just going to segue into the domestic pieces. But sent to Muhammad a tweet that the DNC is actually realigning their caucus state, their early voting states for the nomination process, and they are putting up forth highly diversified states for the primary process for the presidential election instead of majority white states. And I personally think that that is going to be a huge mistake,
It
in
sounds
my personal
exactly like
opinion.
modern day Democrats, well, like the
I think that
establishment
that
would
is,
do.
well, you have to understand, we need to appeal to the broad base of America. Think about that. You're not just appealing to the small demographic circles throughout. America. You have to appeal to the whole general
I mean, the
mass.
reason why they lost last time is because they lost. I mean, they overly rely on identity politics. That's the bane of the Democratic Party. Is like they always think like, oh well, if you're a minority, you gotta vote for the
And
Democrats. I mean, where
that's what I'm and that's literally what I'm saying.
yeah,
They stuck to the identity politics and it needs to be lost. The identity politics is putting up these diversified states within the early process. Like, no,
not a safe
having
for
Iowa first is the way to go because it weeds out individuals that wouldn't pass in Texas, all the Midwest and Southern states where it's going to count.
yeah,
Like just because you can get past South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, it doesn't make you all that special.
yeah.
If you can get through Iowa, Michigan, those Rust Belt states, and then go out wide and really, get good margins within those Midwestern states, that's gonna be the individual that wins that nomination. Just because you can win a couple Super Tuesdays and the first two Super Tuesdays and just the main primary on the I think it is a caucus because Iowa votes by caucus. So all these caucus votes, it's like, well, when you get to the general election, you lose in a landslide. Not losing a landslide, but you lose within reasonable margin, as what Kamala Harris did. It's kind of like, how are we not learning that we actually need to put it in front? In this ticket is honestly a white male who understands both the Democratic Party establishment as well as DSA, and is a mixture and molding of the two. AOC, she's not going to get there. She needs to stay in Congress, leadership position. Ossoff, love him. I think he can do great things. Kelly, great individual as well. Newsom is up there in the lead. Bashir, as well, as he starts to come down and starts to point the finger at um, Mitch McConnell for not showing a proof of life. Apparently, he won't even do a video. Mitch McConnell. So these are individuals you're really going to have to look out for, I think, to really take the nomination and actually win. Yes, Kamala Harris is a good, energized candidate, if you want to say that, but I truly think if we put her up, put all of our eggs in one basket, it's going to get us nowhere. Even if we were to match her up with Newsom, I just don't see it because you got
I
two
mean,
individuals from freaking California. So
yeah.
it's like, like that has to be the mindset. Like Bashir, Kentucky, Ossoff, Georgia. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. Mark Kelly, I think he's within the Western state. No, I think he's in Arizona, I want to say, possibly. Still not a bad state either. Arizona is usually a key state. Arizona, Ohio, usually key states when it comes to presidential elections. So with them doing this rearrangement of the caucuses, I think is going to be the first mistake, and a very unfortunate, shocking defeat that could come in 28 if this is truly how they want to go about it.
Yeah.
It's going to be 2024 all over again, unfortunately.
I mean,
Bless you. Bless you.
hey, sorry for that. Yeah, I think. I mean, honestly, I don't even think it needs to be a white man. I think it just needs to be a man. I think Obama proved that. That like, as long as like you're a man. I mean, even if you're just like a very charismatic woman, which we just haven't had hosted by the Democrats nor the Republicans yet. But Obama proved that it just needs to be a man so far based off the precedent.
Right.
And
There's just no, I would say,
somebody who's actually willing to
l-
stand up and fight for things that just affect everyday Americans. That's what they need. And like
well, I mean, there's really just fair skinned individuals. That's what I was getting to. There is no prominent African American, other individual from different heritage
they're really
outside
yeah.
of Caucasian that's stepping into that light. So, yes,
Yeah, I can't really think of
individual.
one. I mean, Obama was a bit of a surprise back when he did it, and
No, yeah, one term senator, something that will probably never happen again. But yes, and in that point in time, he answered the call very well. We did not
yeah,
answer the call very well in 2024. And though polls, prediction markets has us, as in the Democratic Party, set up pretty fairly to do very well on House Senate President, at the same time, we saw what happened in Wisconsin. and
Yeah.
we're kind of going to segue into that electoral outlook from what's been going on actually with a lot of these elections that have taken place. Because I know Democrats currently lead the generic congressional ballot by roughly 11 points from what we've been talking about in recent poll averages. And the advantage has fluctuated with the Iran war and economic news, but remains pretty solid. We know the GOP is worried about their midterms. We also know Trump could care less.
That's
he said
so
he
funny to
said
me.
that.
Literally him saying, "Yeah, I don't care. I'm just gonna use executive action."
Yeah, executive action and pardons is how he's going
I think
to
that's how you know he literally actually knows and doesn't truly actually care about running for a third term. Because if
he
he
doesn't
thought
care.
that he like needed there to be Republicans in there for him to get anything done, he'd be like, "Oh yeah, I do care." He doesn't care a damn because he knows that he's going to do what he wants and he's going to leave and he's done.
Yeah, basically that he is making himself a lame duck president, and this was even I think middle of the summer he was doing this with all the elections that taken place with conservatives losing their seats to MAGA individuals. But though you have this splintering between MAGA true conservatives that I talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene, Joe Kent, um, if individuals don't know, Joe Kent was the national security advisor, sorry, national security individual that stepped down and gave in that blistering resignation about the Iran US conflict and how it's being pushed and propagated by Israel. So that individual is a part of this new conservative party that is looking to take form. And the Republicans, I mean, sorry, the Democrats are having that same face of reckoning. You have progressive and DSA backed candidates, which have scored notable primary wins, while establishment figures held elsewhere. In Michigan, progressive Abdul Al Sayed narrowly won a closely watched Senate primary, which he beat, I think, about like
2%.
almost like 100 million or like $80 million from APAC,
Oh yeah, it
which
was
shout out
she
to
got
him.
Haley Stevens got 60 million from APAC. Yeah.
Yeah, he beat $60 million in APAC. So shout out to him and DSA on that win. But however, in Wisconsin, the DSA backed Francesca Hong. This is why I talk about prediction markets because they had her winning by overwhelmed margins
Yeah.
by the time the race was getting ready to be called. And obviously it switched as she came within half a point of winning the gubernatorial primary, but ultimately fell to David Crawley. Then you have obviously AOC, the rising 2028 Democratic primary polling star. As I said, I have my reservations about that, but she has been, I don't know, Bob, if you've seen this, distancing herself from earlier woke rhetoric while leaving open both a presidential run and a possible challenge to Chuck Schumer, which I full heartedly endorse. And someone needs to go challenge House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, who has explicitly rejected current Medicare for All legislation and distanced himself from the DSA agenda, arguing Democrats should focus on affordability and repairing the existing system, which I always ask, is that not a lot of the DSA platform realistically? I
Yeah.
do know there is some woke pieces in there, such as abolishing the police, things of that nature, which is now coming back into the spotlight. But yeah, I mean, they DSA is 100% all about affordability and repairing the existing system. And I tell individuals to go a little bit further. I mean, if you talk about individuals that were radical and things of that nature, had to listen to a very good segment from Talarico, and he said people would look at Jesus as an extremist, as a radical,
And that's why he got
for
crucified.
everything that he states. He would be an individual for Medicare for all and things of this nature, and we don't tie the two together, even though we consider ourselves such a Christian, a Judeo-Christian nation, that we abide by ourselves too. But the policies that we put forth are anything short of that. I mean, just from preschool, food stamps, all of those basic needs that are getting cut on a daily basis from this administration that claims to be, the chosen administration. It's like they very much are walking not in the line of God as the scripture reads. And as I would say, Talarico was stating, I mean, he hits it nail on the head. Realistically, I mean, a
Yeah,
lot of people, especially Republicans and even establishment Democrats, looked at Jesus Christ like he's crazy, without a doubt.
yeah.
And it just shows that they're not DSA Democrats are asking for a radical change of the whole entire system. They're just asking for equity, realistically, not even a level of fairness, just really equity across the board for everyone to have a fair chance to have the opportunities and or the levels of attainment that anyone can get. I mean, I don't see what's so um I would say corrupt about that. But even though our president does the same for his children, and we're going to get into that as well. But yeah, Muhammad, what are your looks on that before we get into how the president is corrupting the presidency?
I mean, I can go on and on and on for quite a while, forever, about how much it bothers me how the conservatives will try to use like Christ and Christianity as like reason for why they do things, and then they're very not that. They
Yeah.
and I mean I've mentioned it before and I'll mention it again because I think it's just so perfectly on the nose that Trump literally, I have to say literally because again this is sometimes so hard to believe. It's like when you're watching that South Park episode of the Mormon religion and of Scientology, and then it just has like a ticker on the bottom of the screen the entire time that says this is actually what they believe. And like literally this is actually true. This is actually true. He has a golden calf. You remember, you know the story of Moses going up to Mount Sinai, talking with God, coming back down, and that during that like 2 weeks he was gone. The Jews that he brought out of Egypt, after he told them not to worship anything, they like melted all their gold into a golden calf and then started worshiping the golden calf. So that's the
Yeah,
story.
I remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the story. The emphasis on the
Yeah.
golden calf. Trump
Hmm.
has a literal golden calf at Mar-a-Lago, covered in money that has hundreds of dollars of bills with Trump's face on it. That instead of "In God We Trust," it says "In Trump We Trust." And I think if anyone actually followed their faith and like proudly said like, "Oh, I'm a Christian," and then they knew about that, I'll be like, this is how are you going to vote for this guy? He's replacing God with his own name and then doing the exact thing in a different kind
He's
of
so
sense. He
full of
worships
himself.
money. The guy worships money. He doesn't worship God. He worships money. Then he worships material value. That's the kind of man Trump is. He's a filthy businessman. And it's
Yes, he
not really a
is.
surprise. It's not like he's really hidden this most of his life, nor does he hide it now. It's just that he's been able to convince many people that he's something more than that, which has been kind of frustrating and sad at the same time to see that. And it's yeah, like you said, there's nothing Christian like nor Christ like about this administration. What they've been doing has been very against it. You are right. Jesus was considered a radical. It's why they
Completely radical.
that's why he got crucified. Like the Romans were tired of there being a new religious leader who was like preaching about things that they didn't like, and then Judas and his tribe were fed up with Jesus kind of going against what they wanted. So that's how things happened. And Judas betrayed him. Jesus gets crucified. Story goes on, and it's it bothers me so much, honestly. And this is how I'll wrap it up because I could keep going on about this for a long time. About how people who claim to follow a faith and they don't, there's like very clear signs and you don't even recognize
Oh
them.
yeah.
Like I
They
could,
fall from it by
if
a
if
mile.
you told me that the president of the United States has a golden calf that's covered with money and it says his name instead of God on the money, I'd be like, oh, there's no way. There's no like that's way too on the dot. There's like, yeah. So like, if you're trying to paint me the image that the people who run the world are egotistical people who want to kind of recreate things in their own image because they're that self-absorbed, I'd be like, you know what? That's exactly the kind of thing I'd expect. You're replacing God with your own name and then
Yeah.
go and doing the exact thing that this holy text says was a warning sign of and done by the people who refuse to follow God. And it's like this guy is literally the living image of it. And then you're like, oh, cool. How do you get the power? Oh, he ran on the idea of being like them, and it just
No, he literally
it's
did.
frustrating. It's so frustrating.
He wishes he could be president end of time, comparable to how Xi Jinping and Kim Jong Un have all governed throughout their years in office. But this leads into the next segment, looking at the corruption of the presidency, because man, oh man, it gets deep. So, Trump Media and Technology Group have launched a high-priced service up to $100,000 a month, giving Wall Street firms and others early access to Truth Social posts,
which is
including the
crazy.
president's.
Which is
Yeah,
crazy.
I couldn't imagine Obama or Biden doing this.
I couldn't imagine
Republicans would be
anybody
having
ever doing this and having it be considered
investigations.
okay. Money directly going
Left,
to the
left,
president's
left.
pocket. Like in any other country,
Fucking
this would be
headphones
like
just died.
clear shut, open case. I mean, open and shut, clear case, corruption. Like this is just money going right to the president. This is money. I mean, even with like the Trump World Liberty Financial Token, that's one down like 90%. By the way, two
Can
that
I be
was.
heard?
What'd you say? You say something, Mikhail? One, two. All right, we're still going. Then
You should.
seems like he just took off his headphone. But it's funny to me just how much, how clear it is and how little is actually done. Like compared to like what Nixon did was that he wiretapped and like recorded some ongoings at the DNC
Mom, and
Watergate.
can you hear me?
I can hear you, Mikhail. Can you hear me?
Damn, I thought these shits were charged.
Damn. So, and that's what Nixon did in Watergate, and what led to him having to be basically forced out of the government at that point in time. And that's nothing compared to what Trump has done and more. I mean, just looking at what we've been seeing, as Mikhail was talking about before his headphone went and died, is that he's launching that new system for 100,000 up to 6 grand a month, $100,000 a month. You give
All right, I am
giving Wall
back.
Street firms and others early access to true social posts, including the president's. Critics, including Democratic senators and press freedom groups, call it a form of insider trading and an abuse of office. Which, I will add this. If you knew 2 minutes ahead of time that the president was about to tell the whole world, oh, hey, the peace deal's done. There's no peace deal anymore. It's gone. We're ready to go to war with Iran. You were at 2 minutes ahead the entire world to buy oil because it's going to go up in value. And further than that, lawsuits have been filed arguing that it violates equal public access to official information. Trump is the
Yeah.
largest shareholder and stands to benefit directly. What do you think
Who
about
would have
this?
thought? I just think it's a complete abuse of power. I think if any other president was to ever do this, Republicans, Democrats would be calling for investigations. But since the Attorney General is our president's personal lawyer,
Right,
none of that will
right.
happen until Democrats are able to take back office, because there is 1,000% a lot of digging that's going to have to happen to really find out where all of this money has gone.
I
I mean,
can't wait to see
$13
how many
million
people go to
dollars.
jail.
I think $13 billion was given to the boards of peace that is now gone.
Yeah,
Apparently, just
yeah.
gone. Just no one knows where it is. I mean, another one of these slush fund tactics,
I'd
the
love to see the books.
anti-weaponization fund. I mean, I would love to see the books too. It's it's just corruption by any other means, and MAGA, his loyalists, will only clap and cheer for him and just keep touting that he is so smart and does all of these great things when he's literally robbing them blind. But now to the really good part: the World Liberty Financial
I told
Bank
my
Charter
manager about this, and he
stablecoin
had
and
no
foreign money.
idea about it. And he's like a
Yeah,
well-to-known guy, and I was like, dude, this is
this
bad.
is bad. This
This
is
is
so bad.
bad.
Like
Like this is actually like,
so,
don't get me wrong. There's been like this is like getting paying for access to his early posts is bad. This World Liberty Financial is very bad.
god awful. I mean, so this happened on Friday afternoon. A regulator appointed by Donald Trump approved a bank that the Trump family owns to issue a coin that makes Donald Trump money under a law Donald Trump signed. It is being described as a first in American history. The approval was released at 4 p.m. on Friday. On Friday.
Closing
So
hour.
the office of the comptroller for currency, run by Trump appointee Jonathan Gold, Gould, granted World Liberty Trust Co., a national trust bank charter. World Liberty is 38% owned by an entity affiliated with Donald J. Trump and certain of his family members. Language that appears on the company's own materials. The charter is a trust charter and does not allow the taking of traditional deposits. That is not the business model. The business is USD1, the company's stablecoin. Users hand over dollars, the firm packs those dollars in treasuries and keeps the interest. Under the Genius Act, signed by Trump in July 2025, the firm is legally barred from passing that interest back to holders. It is all house money. Basically, that's played with. Friday's charter allows World Liberty to cut out its previous middleman and run issuance, custody, and reserves in house, producing fatter margins, a federal seal of approval, and greater appeal to financial clients. And where the dollar comes from matters. A state-backed Abu Dhabi fund settled a 2 billion investment into Binance using USD1. World Liberty told Congress the deal likely would have used foreign currency if USD1 had not existed, meaning the transaction was routed through the president's balance sheet by design. As of February, Binance held 87% of every USD1 coin in existence. Binance founder was pardoned by Donald Trump.
Yep.
So look, the sequence and lines up as follows. So he signed the law that built the market. He appointed the regulator. Sorry, the regulator approved his family's bank. The bank prints the coin that pays him. A foreign government pumped 2 billion into it. It sits on an exchange whose founder he pardoned, and then the bank's board is chaired by the son of his Middle East envoy. So it's like, how are we not seeing the devil in the details with all of
Yeah.
this? I mean, Trump disclosed 57.4 million from World Liberty on one financial filing. Senator Elizabeth Warren has called him the first president in history to approve, operate, and supervise his own bank. And Crew has described it as the most egregious example yet of the president's business profiting off his government job. Democrats introduced the Ending Presidential Corruption in Banking Act the same day the charter was granted. The bill would ban regulators from charting banks owned by a sitting president. It is not expected to pass, of course, but we will watch who votes against it anyway. And this is obviously coupled with Barron Trump's net worth, which is now estimated at around 150 million, surpassing that of First Lady Melania Trump. Imagine saying that your mom telling you what to do, and you're like, "Yeah, I make more money than you." Like, I mean, it's
I
just
mean, the fact that he doesn't
insane.
really do anything though, that's the kicker.
Yes, and the fact that we had such a narrowed and dissecting and surgical look into into Biden's son, Hunter Biden, that we're not even batting an eye over this. Not at all. We're just like, oh,
It's so strange to me how even like the liberal media completely just decides to not go crazy on Trump, even though he's got so many things that you can legitimately have like very good news on. Like this corruption story, very good one, but it doesn't even bat an eye anymore. So people are like, "Oh, well, what are you going to do about it?" And like John
exactly.
Cornyn, the Republican senator from Texas, even said that he was like, "Oh, well, what can we do about the president at this point?" Well, you guys are Congress. You're the ones who are supposed to do something about him.
Yeah, literally, they're literally the body that is supposed to protect the sanctity of the presidency, and it's just fallen flat. Like I've always say, it's the Senate that has been the only able body on the Republican side that can actually able to get things done, but they're never going to investigate one of their own. And then also on all of this, I don't know if you saw the sale of the Lakers and the investigation context behind all of that.
Did
Did you see
not.
that, Mohammed?
I did not.
So the recent sale of the Los Angeles Lakers has drawn much scrutiny. Owner Mark Walter sold the team at a 12.5 billion valuation after buying it the prior year for 10 billion. The buyers include Josh Kushner, brother of Jared Kushner, and Bob Iger, the former, I
Disney
believe he is
CEO.
the owner of Disney,
Yeah, former
CEO.
Disney CEO.
Um, Walter's broader business interests faced federal and SEC investigations into private credit and insurance related loan practices, fueling speculation about the timing and any possible political dimensions, though the White House has denied involvement. It just, and as these investigations were happening, they whittled down and he's not being investigated anymore. And then now you have this sale of only a year prior, which I've never heard of someone owning a team only for a year to just dump them that next year, especially a franchise like the Los Angeles Lakers. So it's very mystifying that how that whole bank scenario matches up. This is another one of those things where you have the Trump administration using their tentacles to get into anything possible where anyone is having some form of legal financial investigation that's happening to them. They find a way out by offering a pardon and then just taking that business and or adventure from the individual. This is something that we're clearly seeing with the Lakers' sale to Josh Kushner. And it's just sad to see that the presidency is being divulged in this. And I, truly hope we get a Democrat next turnaround. Because I mean, even looking at what JD Vance has said more recently about wanting to decouple the US dollar as the world
Insane.
reserves currency,
Insane.
that is, excuse my language, fucking insane.
They want you to own nothing and be
They
happy.
want you to exactly own nothing, the dollar, nothing, and just everything is crypto, digital asset based. That's why they're trying to get Trump so hooked into the USD1, because that will most likely be what's used as primary currency within the United States. What's everything once the shit hits the fan, if JD Vance gets in the office and he truly wants this to happen. Because when he said that, I'm like, that almost basically disqualifies you as being running for president in a lot of people's minds. I mean, for me, that's one. I'm like, I would never want to put someone in office that's going to decouple the only thing that makes our currency valuable.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
I mean, it just doesn't make sense at all. But I mean, we're going to have a lot more on that as the weeks continue. And we're just going to touch into just our last section here before we finish up, really focusing on anti data centers, flock cameras, and that data extraction. So, Mohammed, have you been up to date with what's been going on with the flock cameras and all that nonsense that is taking
Flock
place?
cameras, I have been. And also I've been. I saw the story about the books, the AI, Amazon book
Yeah.
destroyed. Damn,
Yeah.
very
I mean,
interesting. Very honestly, like the flock cameras, I feel like is a more known thing, especially
yeah.
nowadays. I mean, the story for the Amazon AI book destruction did literally just come out like today, I think.
Yeah, it literally did came out today, which is very
Yeah,
interesting. With the flock cameras, it's terrible because I've heard stories of individuals that have gone overstate for abortions and have been tracked down to get
really,
weed from other states and have been tracked down. There were instances where on a highway, a flock camera flagged this woman's car as being stolen, and she had guns drawn on her on the
I
highway.
heard about that. I heard
And
about
these
that. I didn't look
instances are
more into it.
happening they're happening left and right. And these flock cameras, from what I've been doing my research on, are going to be used for insurance purposes. So if you say you got a dent, they will be able to look through millions of images to see how that dent actually got on your car.
Yeah,
And there's very what's the word I'm looking for? Not post-apocalyptic, but almost
dystopian.
like, yeah, dystopian type or Orwellian type vibes that this is giving, because you're going to be watched 24/7.
Yeah,
And just in the instances I told you, if a state bans abortion, you go to another state for an abortion, you're going to go to jail. They're going to find you no matter what. There is no form of privacy. And I understand the levels of benefits that can come from it, but until those are fully fleshed out and the dangers of it are fully fleshed out, there needs to be a moratorium. I
there's
mean,
this.
even
There was this
looking
one.
at AI as well. Like that needs to have a moratorium on the nonsense that's been putting out. You have members of Congress using it to draft bills.
Yeah.
They have had so many bills that have come in that have just had errors
Yeah.
left and right on verbiage. I mean, even you have schools that are using this to print textbooks. I mean, I saw a TikTok of a mother looking through her kid's textbook, and her kid was like, "Hey, mom, we live in let's just say like New Salem or something like that." And
Yeah.
she's like, "No, we live in Kentucky, wherever they were." And she looked at her kid's books, and everything was misspelled. Everything was like AI slop. I
Yeah.
mean, just ridiculous. But it's like it's going to get to a point where this is everyday necessities for life, and I'm personally not ready for that level of security. Our founding fathers would be and are rolling in their graves because they would never want to see this form of big brother ever on their American citizens. I mean, I'm one for more freedom over more security. They always say, "What do you have to be worried about?" But it doesn't matter.
Well,
It
I mean,
truly doesn't matter.
as the saying goes, if you give up freedom for safety, you deserve neither safety nor freedom. And I mean, I agree. Another story that came out regarding the flock cameras recently was that this one woman, her ex husband, who was a police officer, tracked her across state lines and was like harassing her.
Oh
And
my
she was
god,
like, "How'd you know that I left the state? I didn't tell you. You don't have my location." And he was like, "Oh well, I just used Flock to be able to look at your license plate, and it shows you where you've been and when you've been there." And I'm
that's
like,
terrible.
it's crazy. That's crazy. They just the fact that they can just open endedly without any kind of issue, just look at everything. All you need is
Literally
to
everything.
put in a license plate number, and you can see where they've been last and when they've been there. Crazy.
Yep. It's very crazy. And this further dives into the next conversation. And to round off this conversation and podcast episode, really the Amazon and AI companies destroying books. So I think that is insane. I mean, it's literally a monetization of information that's gonna come very soon.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's a major new threat in the data extraction debate. Broke. This is, as Mama stated, this was today. 404 Media tracked a shipment of rare books by hiding an AirTag in one volume that was a part of a bulk order of roughly 1,000 titles. The package traveled across the country and ended at an Amazon facility in Las Vegas. Workers there cut the spines off books, scanned the pages at high speed, and destroyed the physical copies. And that's the key part: destroy the physical copies. The team's logo shows a Tyrannosaurus Rex preparing to devour a book. That's the book that was basically overlooked and throughout this whole process to make sure to see where it kind of went to.
Yeah.
So Amazon, the company that began as a online bookseller, confirmed it purchases books through commercial channels to improve the products and services customers use, but declined to discuss methods or scale. The facility had previously run so low on books that workers worried the operation might shut down. But however, this is not isolated. Court documents from Anthropic copyright case revealed an internal effort codenamed Project Panama, which is funny because I remember that whole Panama Papers thing that came out probably like 5, 6 years ago.
I don't remember that at all. What
Um,
was that about?
you don't remember the Panama Papers? Is basically how all the billionaires in America, all use Panama as a offshore haven.
Makes sense.
Oh yeah, yeah. It not anything anymore, but to this, Anthropic bought millions of physical books, cut their spine, scanned the pages, and disregarded the originals. A federal judge ruled the practice fair use, in part because the physical copies were destroyed and therefore not resold. Anthropic has said it does not target rare or antiquarian books, but the broader industry practice is now clear.
Yeah.
The economic logic is straightforward. Internet text has been largely exhausted or polluted by AI generated content. Books published before 2022 offer high quality, long form human reading free of AI slop. Training on too much synthetic text risk model collapse, in which output quality degrades. And that's kind of what I was talking to you guys about with the schools using AI for textbooks. So AI companies are vacuuming up physical books, often through anonymous bulk buyers on marketplace like Biblo, and And they're doing this as a way to convert cultural artifacts into proprietary training data that powers commercial needs. And secondhand booksellers in the US, UK, Ireland, and elsewhere have reported a surge in mysterious large orders for obscure and older titles. Critics, including the investor Michael Burry, have called the destruction of rare books an evil incarnate, which it very much is. And the deeper issue is the same pattern seen with flock cameras and data center expansion. Information and cultural material are stripped from the public sphere, processed at industrial scale, and monetized by private AI companies with little compensation or consent for the original creators or owners. And that is exactly the outlook that we are very much facing here in the United States very well soon, especially if we get Palantir Vance in office. This is going to be within the next 8 years. Without a doubt, I don't doubt it.
Uh,
I mean, I hope that Democrats can find ways to block it if they get in office or have a moratorium, but there needs to be a stop on all of this before we get too far ahead of ourselves. And we have a situation like Skynet. We have a situation like The Matrix, to where I always say it's a documentary, it's not a movie, but that's just my preference.
yeah.
But yeah, that's yeah. To round off the episode, I mean, that's a very good place for it. It's whether or not we are going to be the ones ruling and using AI, or if AI will be the ones ruling, watching over us realistically.
I mean, I really, it is a nerve wracking thing. There's so much sci fi stories, which correctly so, for good reason, puts AI as this like massive, scary villain, massive, scary thing. Have you
Yeah.
ever played Cyberpunk?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Cyberpunk has
that's
the whole
that's my
the
stuff.
black wall, and the AI's beyond the black wall, and it's really just. Hmm, I think the idea is that why should a computer care about about humans at all once it has what it needs to be able to do what
Yep.
it wants to do? And how's a computer going to decide what it wants to do? Is it going to maintain? Is it going to be strictly confined by its programming? Is an AI going to not be confined by its
No,
programming? It's an
no
AI.
more,
Like the whole,
no
it's
more. All logic. All
yeah,
logic.
yeah. And I mean, we even talked about how earlier, this is like months ago, like half a year ago, even, we were talking about how in multiple war models, even like Claude and more, most of the time, majority of the time, they recommend nuclear war, like nuclear weapons, in order to finish off like a war. And the issue is, while yeah, I think anyone would agree, coming in with your strongest weapons would be the best idea. There's a reason why we haven't done things like that. It's because it's the precedent that it would set and the damage that it would do to human life and the environment. And the AI
Seriously.
just doesn't care about these things. It'll just
No, it only cares about logic. I mean, that's literally how
yeah,
got that school blown up in the early weeks of the Iran war. There was old AI models and old data that wasn't updated that saw that that school was a military base. It was not updated. Nothing was changed, and that's how we got that horrible incident of, I think, what, 214 school children were killed in Iran. So these are the worries of AI, along with the citizen concerns, where I just talked to you guys about the whole flock cameras, data centers sucking up water in various places of these United States. And, now we have this bubbling of AI supervision coming from this administration, and they want to go full steam ahead of it. I know Democrats want some form of moratorium because the brakes truly need to be hit so that we can understand the pros and cons and put the best foot forward to how for society it's going to be a benefit, not for the small handful of individuals, of how it's going to be beneficial for them to use for our benefit, if that makes sense in a way. Like, no, AI needs to be a benefit for all, not just for one to leverage on others. And who knows when we'll get there, but you all will be able to check with Behind the Ballot for the latest information on all of these topics. And as always, as we close out, Thank you all again for tuning into Behind the Ballot, where politics meets real life. We break down state and federal issues, showing how policy shapes everyday Americans. We are engaged, balanced, and informative. And until next time, keep looking beyond the headlines and behind the ballot. Thank you.
Thank you all for listening once again. Hope you all have a good night. God bless America. God bless you all. And take it easy, everyone.